Hello everybody, Phantom Car here. Pokemon Emerald with only single stage Pokemon was a lot of fun, and since I was feeling nostalgic, I decided to give another Generation 3 run a shot. And we'll be doing it in the same game, but this time we'll be adding on a little bit of a twist that I've never done before, either on the channel or in a personal playthrough. Today we find out, could I be Pokemon Emerald when everything is random? This challenge has the potential to either be a super simple run through, or is going to be incredibly rough, and that's all based on the luck we get. I'll be adding on a few other things for this run. We will be running with a few random elements to make the game a little different than I've ever played, and when I say everything is random, I mean just about everything. We are randomizing evolutions, randomizing abilities. We aren't changing base stats, but we are updating them, so anything that's gotten a buff in future generations has it here. Movesets are going to be totally random, field items are random. I think you guys get the idea. The last thing we are doing is using typical Nuzlocke encounters, but I'll explain that more in the rules. Just like always, I'll be writing the script as I go through with the challenge, so everything here has been written before I've started. Go ahead and leave a comment if you think we'll be able to win this one. I really have no idea how anything is going to work here, so it'll be a wild ride from beginning to end. I don't know what to expect. Time to go over the rules. The first rule is a new one for us, and I'm only able to catch the first Pokemon on a given route. Up next is no items in battle. We're only going to be using held items and Pokeballs. Of course, like always, we are okay to use items outside of battle. And last of all, no glitches or exploits. I know this game is random, but if I get something that's totally broken, I'm not going to abuse it. I would love a Pure Power Slacking with Swords Dance, but I don't think that makes for a good video. Starting off, we have our starters, and honestly, none of them are great. We have a Jinx, a Wobbuffet, and a Sableye. I used Sableye in my last run, so I decided to go with Jinx, who has an insane moveset consisting of Hyper Fang, String Shot, Hyper Voice, and Hydro Cannon. Plus, she has the Mystic Water on her from the get-go, and a Modest Nature. I'm not complaining, this is a great start. Speaking of a great start, let's take on Brendan and see what team he's got. So it looks like he picked Wobbuffet, and he lives a Hyper Voice, but then takes us out with a critical hit from Rock Slide. I grab a few levels and see that the wild Pokemon are still chained, so you'll get to see our first encounter soon. We go ahead and try again at level 7 and we come close, but not quite. We even get a lucky critical hit and still couldn't win. Is it really going to be an early game Wobbuffet that walls us? Plus, I think starter is carried through the game, so this will be rough in the future. It takes us until we hit level 9 to win, but we do finally take down Brennan and we get to start the run. They say the first rival fight is a sign of how the run will go, so I hope we're not cursed. Our first encounter on Route 101 is a Spearow, so for now, welcome aboard. I think I'll nickname you Jack. Since evolutions are random, this may not stay working, but for now it fits. Jack has Bubble Beam and Dig, so some pretty random moves, but we'll see how the level up move set goes. In case you're curious on what we missed out on, I had seen both Mudkip and Meganium on this route, so it really was a starter-filled route. After that, we head to Route 103 and get a Surskit, who's almost a failed encounter. This thing has the ability Plus and only knows Shadow Ball. So, sure, I guess? I don't know. We have a few more encounters, so let's rapid fire those off before we get to Rustboro. Or at least that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to get some levels on the team, but I just casually found a Latios on the same route that I got Sebastian. Wow, the randomizer really is brutal to me. Up first is our Route 102 encounter. Maui the Shiftry. This will stay a Shiftry the whole time, so that's good. And oddly enough, another modest-natured Pokemon. Then on Route 104, we get Crush the Blastoise, so it looks like we are getting a starter after all. But Lightning Rod as an ability on it isn't great. And before we get to Rustboro, we get one more encounter, and that is Rafiki the Primeape. I don't know what sort of Pokemon Roxanne will have, so I decided to just go in with the team and see what happens. I'm waiting on the next encounter just to see if I can do the gym with my current team. I lead with Maui and Roxanne leads with a Furret, so I go for Brick Break, but I do end up going down to a high jump kick. After bringing Furret to half, I swap into Crush to use Headbutt, and it takes 3 to take it out, and we get lucky with a flinch. Sandshrew is out next and gets us paralyzed with Sunspore, but then goes down to Poison Fang. I'm just going for Headbutt since the Giga Drains seem to not be doing a lot. But out next is Natsu, who I hit with Ancient Power after getting hit with an Outrage. This little bird has Outrage? We live another and Breakthrough Paralysis, and we take it out, getting the Rock Badge. Up next is a Route 116 encounter, and it's a Ghastly. So we catch it and name him the Shadow Man. It took me quite a while to think of a good name for it. We also got a Max Revive out of it, so that's insane. Hopefully we can keep that luck up in Rest Earth Tunnel with our encounter. And here we find a Whalerain, who we catch and nickname Fluke. We're off to Dewford for our next two encounters. I use the old rod and do for it and reel up a Wish Cache, but accidentally knock it out, so no Wish Cache for me. Granite Cave gets us a Steelix, who we nicknamed Ka, and we're off to give Steven the letter. Now on to Bruno, who has a fun team, but boy are they bulky. Starting off with Lunatone, I had taken several out before, so I just go ahead and use Bubble Beam with Jack, but I get taken down with a surprise Zap Cannon. I swap into Crush and go for Ancient Power looking to get the boost, but Lunatone just uses Mirror Move. But one more Ancient Power takes it out. We get paralyzed, but that's fine. Milotic is up next. This is going to be rough. It does go for Poison Tail as I go for Ancient Power with Crush, and I get the full boost, so that was great. I go for Ancient Power again, trying to fish for the second boost, but Brawly uses a Super Potion. We get Milotic low with 2 hits from Weather Ball, and then another Super Potion is out. After 2 more it almost goes down, and then it takes a third and final Weather Ball to go down, leaving just Moltres, who I have 1 Ancient Power left with its name on it. But we're paralyzed the first turn, and the second turn we almost take it out with Ancient Power, but it survives on just a sliver. So we chip it down with Weather Ball and get taken out from Confusion. I go ahead and bring out Shadow Man and I go for Iron Tail, but it doesn't matter because Moltres just has Hydro Cannon. Elsa comes out and I go for Hyper Fang, then decide I might as well just take it out with my own Hydro Cannon. And all it takes is 1 to take it out and we get the badge. We get a new encounter after the badge, so we go to head to Slateport and run straight to Route 1, and we end up getting a Groudon who we named Taka, who has the Blaze ability, so that kind of fits. Taka is for sure joining the team. Now we have another rival fight and it takes a surprising turn. Brendan leads with Rattata, who takes down more Pokemon than a Rattata realistically should. It starts off by taking out Taka with 2 hits from Hyper Fang. Then Jack is out, who outspeeds and goes for Dig, but doesn't quite take it out. Crush takes it out with Weather Ball, and out comes Wobbuffet. So I go for Bite to take it out, and it does take some luck, but we do eventually get it to go down. She then sends out a Jirachi, who uses Uproar. I switch to using Headbutt and try and get a flinch, but after a while of that not working, I decide to switch into Shadow Man on the Uproar. I go ahead and try and use a Blaze Kick, and it almost takes it out, but we get burned. I send out Elsa on the Fire move and go for Hyper Fang, but that barely does anything as well. Ka is out next, but gets taken out in 1 hit. So Crush is back out and we outspeed the Jirachi with a Bite and get the victory. After that, in a quick Wally battle, we head to Route 117 where we catch Pumbaa the Grumpig, and while grinding we get our first evolution, and that is Shadow Man evolving into a Kecleon, who can't evolve anymore, so is very much now useless. And right after that, we get Jack evolving into a Weezing, who is very much not useless, so I'll accept a 50% success rate on evolutions for now. After those evolutions, and Taka as well as Ka are both a bit closer to the levels of everything else, we take on Watson for the next badge. Watson starts off with a Yanma, who Elsa takes out in a single blizzard. After that, Pikachu comes out and Elsa misses a Hydro Cannon, but lands another one to take it out. Onto Electrode, who outspeeds Elsa with a Rock Slide to take us out. Ka comes out and I go for Earthquake and I don't quite take it out, and we end up going down to 2 Needle Armors. Taka is out next and we take a Needle Arm, but we flinch, and after 1 more we go for Hammer Arm and are taken out by a 3rd Needle Arm. Jack is out and goes for Dig so we can get some super effective damage off, and we take out Electrode. All that's left is Ursaring, so Jack uses Outrage and we almost take it out, but a single use of Smelling Salt takes us out. I switch into Crush and go for Ancient Power, knowing his Super Potion is coming, and after 1 more Ancient Power and a very unneeded critical hit, we get the badge. On Route 112, we end up with a Mewtwo as our encounter, and I'm not hopeful we'll be able to catch it. But to my surprise, we did catch it, and we decided to name it Dr. Heinz, because Doofenshmirtz didn't fit. Followed right away by our Fiery Pass encounter in Farfetch'd, who we nicknamed Daisy. Then right away followed by our Route 113 encounter, a Blossom who we named Jumba. Followed by Ember the Magby, and last on the little encounter spree is Lotad in Meteor Falls, who we nicknamed Buzz, to hopefully have it evolve into maybe something great, and ends up not working because we just get another Whaleren. Since the last few encounters were pretty underwhelming, we go and take on Maxie and grab the Meteorite, and that goes surprisingly well. Maxie starts off with a Parasect, and Dr. Heinz Doofenshmirtz uses Vital Throw for not much damage. I swap into Jack on an Icy Wind and go for Aurora Beam. 1 more Icy Wind lands, but it just takes 1 more hit from Aurora Beam to take it out. Out next is a little baby Magby, so I go for Dig since that'll be super effective. But we get brought low with Extra Sensory. Good thing is, it only took 1 dig to take it out. Outlast is Kecleon, who hits us with Egg Bomb as I set up Outrage. We get outsped and go down to Water Pulse. I bring back Doofenshmirtz and use Bone Meringue, and I almost take it out, but go down to an Egg Bomb. Bone Meringue gets close, but I am outsped and taken out with Dragon Breath. Taka is out and lands a Metal Claw, almost taking out the Kecleon, but Maxie uses another Super Potion. We miss a Metal Claw and go for Low Kick for super effective damage, and one more Low Kick takes it out. After that, we have our Jagged Pass encounter, and it's a Regirock, who we catch and nickname Pebble. Then we hatch the egg and get a Quilava, who we nickname Jack Jack. I think we should get the Lava Ridge gym done before we get going. The fight with Flannery starts off easy. Doofenshmirtz lands a Boomerang on her lead coughing, and we take that out with an unneeded critical hit. Out next is a Numel that she normally has as her second Pokemon, so that's kind of funny. Numel also goes down to one hit from Boomerang, and then she goes and sends out a Volbeat. I went for Vital Throw just to get some damage off, and then a Jump Kick before we're hit with Zap Cannon. But Volbeat uses Dig and we crash from the Jump Kick. I go for Jump Kick again and almost take it out, but decide to switch into Crush, who has Ancient Power. Flannery Hyper Potions the Volbeat, so we are good to almost one-shot it with Ancient Power. After a lucky miss of Zap Cannon, all that's left is a Mr. Mime. I go for Slash, almost one-shotting it, and one more Slash takes it out and we get the Flame Badge. For our Route 111 encounter, we get an Anorith who we nickname Milo, and then make our way back to Petalburg with dear old dad, who's a lot less scary without slacking on his team. Norman starts out with Dratini, who Crush is able to take out pretty easily with 2 hits from Slash. Out next is an Ikens who also has Zap Cannon and gets a Paralysis, but we hit it to half HP with Ancient Power, but then get fully paralyzed. This happens 2 more times before we land an Ancient Power to take out Ekans. Norman sends out a Slowbro who also has Zap Cannon, and I'm just going for chip damage at this point. We end up going down and I switch into Doofenshmirtz. Doofenshmirtz uses Petal Dance to almost take it out, but Slowbro misses an attack and then goes down to the second turn of Petal Dance. After that, all that's left is Seadra, and it takes us hitting ourselves in confusion, but one more Petal Dance takes out Seadra and we get the badge. After that badge, we get access to Surf, so we have an encounter in Petalburg to grab, and that is a Cacturn that I misread the level on, so I took out with a single slash on accident. So I guess we don't get an encounter here. That's fine, but on Route 119 we get a Glalie who we nickname Frozone. Now we're on to the Weather Institute. And the Weather Institute is honestly one of my favorite parts of the game. Just the battles between all the trainers and then getting a free cast form at the end is always really fun. Speaking of cast form gets randomized into our next encounter, which is Stitch the Magnemite. I could go ahead and level this up, see what it evolves into, but I might save that for later if I do it at all. Now instead of leveling up Stitch, I decide to go and get our next encounter, which is another static encounter, this time replacing Kecleon. Kecleon randomized into a Golbat who we capture and nickname Micula. Onto the flying leader Winona, and this goes pretty easy, even though she started with a Metagross. But Doofenshmirtz is able to take it out in one hit from Boomerang, and since we got a critical hit on the second one. Out next is Parasect, and I let Jack Jack have some fun. We go ahead and take a hit from Dig, and we almost go down, but Jack Jack lands a Sacred Fire, and we take out the Parasect. Lombre is out next, and I try another Sacred Fire and come close, but Ancient Power takes us out. So I swap into Jack, who has Aurora Beam. I use that, followed by 2 hits from Outrage to take out the Lombre. Nidorino comes out next, and our Outrage ends. I play it risky and go for Dig and snap out in one turn. It ends up taking 2 hits from Dig to take out the Nidorino, and we're down to the last member, Jinx. I know Jinx should just be 1 or 2 hits from Dig, but it uses Acid Armor, so I switch to Outrage. We almost go down to a Blizzard, and Outrage ends. I wanted to go for another, but we were taken out. I switch into Taka, who goes down with a single Blizzard, so it's time for Crush to come on out. We live a Blizzard and land an Ancient Power before getting Winona to use a Hyper Potion. But after that, it just takes a few more hits from Ancient Power before getting us the Flying Badge. Now we get a new encounter on the way to Mount Pyre, starting with our Route 121 encounter. We have a Voltorb who we name Soon. On Route 112, we get an Abra who we nickname Tank, and in Mount Pyre we get a Ninjask who we name Flick. After that, we get to the top and watch as Archie steals the red orb for the blue Pokemon, and we learn that Maxie already stole the blue orb for the red Pokemon. Checking out in the box, I see that Tank has huge power, and I didn't think anything of it, so I leveled it up to see what it evolved into. Now, let's just say I was mildly disappointed when it became a Bellsprout and lost huge power. So I leveled it up again and got Ludicolo, which isn't bad. I then noticed it got huge power again, so that's awesome. I think I'll try to bring it on par with the rest of my team. After that, it's on to the Magma Hideout and the Maxie fight, who starts off with an Omastar. We take it down in one hit from Petal Dance. Since we got paralyzed on the way in here, I didn't outspeed it. Out next is a Jirachi, and we are paralyzed, so I try to go for Boomerang, but I miss. We got taken out with a Thief, so I swap into Jack to go for Dig. Jack does about a quarter and I go for Dig again just to try and get some damage off. Maxie uses a Super Potion, we decide to do the same thing again and again. I just use Dig because that does the most damage. But Maxie again decides to use a Super Potion. At this point I wanted to see if Outrage would do more over 2 turns rather than Dig. Turns out it didn't. So I just click Bubble Beam to take it out, after hitting myself in confusion 3 times. I snap out of it and I take it out in 2 hits from Bubble Beam. After that, it's a Paris who goes down in 2 hits from Aurora Beam, and we take down Maxie. Now onto Tate and Liza to start the downswing of gym badges and wrapping this run up. And this fight goes a lot easier than expected, actually. They lead with a Porygon and a Victory Bell, and I right away switch to Ka out for Jack to have Drought and Sacred Fire. Doofenshmirtz almost takes Porygon out with Jump Kick, and it just takes one more to take it out. Out next, they switch into Entei, and Jack takes out Victory Bell, and they bring out Farfetch'd. Farfetch'd then has a Sandstorm set up, and I switch Jack out. Jack comes out. Both of them attacked into the slot with Jack, and they took rough skin damage. I go ahead and use Dig with Jack to get super effective damage off on the Entei, and then have Doofenshmirtz use Bone Meringue so we ensure the takedown. And now it's 2 against 1 against Farfetch'd. Doofenshmirtz uses Vital Throw and Jack uses Aurora Beam, and we take out the twins to get the badge. After this, Archie uses the red orb to wake up the blue colored Pokemon, because color, and then we're left to go to Sky Pillar to wake up Rayquaza and make the others stop fighting. Because that's all it takes sometimes, just telling on the super gods to their mom and then they stop being the actual cause of all the problems. Wait, this sounds familiar. Have I said this before? That's probably nothing. But on the way, Jack evolves into a Charizard. And I initially thought it kept Drought, and we have Sacred Fire, so that's going to be good. On to Juan, the Water Leader, who starts out with a Bellsprout. So I start off with Jack to take it out. All it takes is 1 Sacred Fire and it goes down. Up next is Cradilly, and I don't have a whole lot to take it out, so I just use Cross Chop before going down to a Rock Slide. I switch back into Crush to try and take it out with Surf, and it takes 2 before using a Hyper Potion. I tried Ancient Power, fishing for boosts, and I didn't get any, but we are taken out after a few more hits from Rock Slide. So I switch into Taka, and I think Metal Claw should do great, and I'm right on the mark, it does. Out next is Natu, who almost goes down in 1, but uses Withdrawal, so that doesn't do anything for it. We get the Metal Claw attack boost, which is good. Out next is a Venusaur, and we click Meteor Mash, and we ended up getting the boost and are a level higher. We then get hit with Psycho Boost, and you don't know how many things in this game had Psycho Boost. I swear I've run into that move more than anything. We take out Venusaur, and then Surskit is all Juan has left, and it goes down in 2 hits, getting us the badge and taking us to the Pokemon League. Just before the league, we get our last encounter, Pascal the Sceptile, and honestly, I think just for nostalgia's sake, Pascal is joining the team. So after a bit of grinding and team building, our team going into the league is Doofenshmirtz the Mewtwo, Jack the Charizard, whose ability actually did change from Drought and I only noticed here, so that's a bummer. Jack the Weezing, who I really need to look back and see what I named him after, because I don't know if I named them both after Jack. Okay, I just checked. No, this was Jack Sparrow when we caught it. So look at that. Then we have Taka the Groudon from also pretty early on in the adventure. Speaking of early in the adventure, we have Crush the Blastoise. And we end it all off with Pascal the Sceptile, a late addition to the team, but a good one. Last chance to leave your guesses in the comments if you think we can win. Let's go take on the league. First up is Dark Trainer Sydney, who starts off with a Mawile, who ends up going down a single Bone Meringue. Out next is Latios, and I decided to set up with Pascal, because Tailglow and Thunderbolt TMs were super cheap in the department store. I hit Latios with an Aeroblast and realize it has color change, so I then go for a super effective Thunderbolt at +4 to take it down. Out next is a Love Disc, and of course that is outsped and goes down to another Thunderbolt. And then comes something I wouldn't wish upon my worst enemy. Go ahead and take a look at this fight with Umbreon. Pascal is on 1 HP, so we end up hitting Superpower just for some super effective damage before I go down. I know Umbreon has good special defense, so I didn't want to try with a special attack. We go down to an Air Cutter and I send out Crush, and then Umbreon uses Soft Boiled. And then Double Team. Over and over again. Soft Boiled and Double Team, as I am struggling to land hits with Crush. I'm fishing for critical hits with Slash, flinches with Headbutt, anything. And every bit of damage I do is getting healed off with Soft Boiled, and then just rub salt in the wound. Umbreon maxes its evasion. I switch into Jack and I go for Sacred Fire, trying to get a burn. But I miss one, and the second one doesn't get the burn. A third one misses and we get Umbreon below half. I switch to Poison Fang looking for the poison, and that doesn't work. We end up going down to Air Slash. I swap into Ka and I use 3 Tail Glows and then click Overheat to take it out in one shot. Outlast is a Kecleon who goes down in 1 Overheat. But that Umbreon was brutal, and I have said it once and I'll say it again. I would not wish that fight upon my worst enemy. Up next is the would-be ghost trainer Phoebe. She leads with a Jolteon who outspeeds us and goes for Eruption, and that does more damage based on how much health they have. And Jack goes for Dig. We come up and almost take Jolteon out, and then they use a full restore on the turn we go down for Dig again, so they miss another Eruption. We go for one more Dig and the Eruption does even less than that, and we take out Jolteon. Jack is on 36 HP and out next is Cloyster, so we go for Volt Tackle and we take it out in one shot, but go down to Recoil. I switch into Pascal and Phoebe swaps into Pidgeot. I go ahead and use Thunderbolt with Pascal and one more takes it out. Phoebe then sends out a Vaporeon, so another great target for Thunderbolt. But one doesn't quite take it out and then we end up going down. We send out Doofenshmirtz and Phoebe uses a full restore. Doofenshmirtz uses Bone Meringue for chip damage and then we go to Petal Dance to take it out. She then sends in a Ditto and Petal Dance takes it out and we're on to the next one. Up next is Glacia and she leads with a Cradily. I still have Jack in the lead so I go for Dig and that doesn't do a lot so I switch to Aurora Beam and then that does a lot better. We get Cradily low and the first full restore comes out so we just keep going for Aurora Beams and end up taking it out. Out next is a Camerupt and I go for Dig, and that turned out to be a massive mistake because for some reason, Camerupt actually has Earthquake like it's supposed to. I swap into Crush and take it out with a Surf. Glacia then sends out a Cacturn, I go for Slash but get hit with Giga Drain, and then I'm hit low. I then get taken out. I swap out into Jack and go for Sacred Fire to take out the Cacturn. And Glacia brings out Steelix, who lives a Cross Chop but goes for Minimize, so it's going to become harder to hit. I keep going for Cross Chop, but we keep missing. I swap to Sacred Fire and that hits and takes it out, so no more Evasion Cheese for me, please. Minot is next and I go for Slash to get it low. We get hit with a Heat Wave, but just one more hit from Cross Chop takes it down, and we beat Glacia. On to Lance and we're close to done. Dragon Trainer Drake is up next. Drake leads with an Aerodactyl who hits us with Earthquake and we get it low with Aurora Beam. Right as we use another, Drake uses a full restore. I decide it's safe to go for another Aurora Beam, but we are taken down to Earthquake. I swap out into Taka, who I know has Thunderbolt and can hit for super effective, but I decide to set up a Tail Glow to get some extra special attack for the fight. I go for one more and then get hit with an Earthquake and decide I can be greedy and go for a third. But now is when I go for Thunderbolt and take out Aerodactyl. Drake sends out a Hypno and Taka is able to almost take it down to red with a Thunderbolt. And one more ends up taking it down, but Taka is on 9 HP and I know we're going down. So I just use Meteor Mash on the Doug Trio, who outspeeds us and KOs us. Pascal's turn now. I go for Superpower, but I'm hit with a critical hit from Air Cutter. Superpower almost took it out, but one more Air Cutter took us out. Up next is Crush. Crush goes for a Surf and survives a Signal Beam to take out Doug Trio. Out next is a Delibird, who goes down into Ancient Power to no one's surprise. And finally out is Ludicolo, who can take an Ancient Power. I don't really have much else for this, so I keep going for Ancient Power. Ludicolo lands a critical hit on us, and we get to 1 HP. But then we get a flinch with Headbutt, so I go for Headbutt again, and get another flinch. But instead of getting 3 flinches in a row, Ludicolo takes us out with a Tackle. So I send out Jack, and Drake uses a full restore. Sacred Fire does just over half, so I get another one off, almost getting the knockout. But after a critical hit from Ludicolo, we get taken out, and all that's left is Doofenshmirtz. We go for Ice Punch, and we take out Drake, and we finish the Elite Four. Now time for the end, and we're on to the champion fight. Wallace leads Manectric, so I go for Dig with Jack to get some super effective damage off, but we get hit with an Ice Punch. We land Dig and get Manectric to about half, so I go ahead and try that again. This time, thanks to Rough Skin, Manectric is just below half, and still out of healing range, so I can take it out with another Dig. Out next is Dunsparce, and I really like how its sprite looks in this generation. It's been a while since I've seen it as a sprite. I swap into Doofenshmirtz and take a Hyper Fang, and I go for Psycho Boost. I almost get a perfect KO, but not quite. We are then taken out with a critical hit from another Hyper Fang. I swap into Jack and go for Cross Chop, knowing that a full restore is coming out, and I was right. Cross Chop does half damage, so I go for another one and get the knockout. Out next is Poliwrath, and I want to save Jack, so I swap into Crush. Poliwrath uses Hydro Can and I go for Ancient Power, just to try and get the boost. But thanks to Speed Boost, Poliwrath is going to always be faster than us, so I'm just going to go for neutral damage here. It's a slow chip fest back and forth until eventually Crush is almost taken out with Hydro Cannon. But Crush lives on 1, so I spend the next turn going for Headbutt on the recharge turn. We get taken out and I switch into Pascal and I misclick and go for Superpower instead of Thunderbolt, and that messes us up later. Wallace uses a full restore on the turn I use Thunderbolt, so we bring it down to about half. I go for another Thunderbolt and get brought low with Ice Beam. Poliwrath goes down, but we are low. Regirock is out next, and now is when the regret comes from hitting Superpower, because we could have done a lot more damage without being at -2 attack. But one Fire Blast is enough to take us down. I swap to Jack for Cross Chop damage, and that doesn't do as much as I'd like. We go back and forth trading Cross Chops and Fire Blast, and we swap to Poison Fang just to hope to get a lucky Toxic Poison. And we do get one, but then comes a full restore curing it. I go for Sacred Fire to try and get a burn, and on the second one I do. But it's raining, so fire is weaker. I end up going for Slash, trying to get a critical hit or just something, and nothing is happening. I swap to Poison Fang and I'm so close to taking it out. And Regirock does go down, but Jack is on life support. Beedrill is out next, and I'm able to land a Sacred Fire to take that out, and it comes down to a Charizard. We get taken out with Egg Bomb, so it's up to Taka to get us the win. Charizard goes for Head Smash. On the turn we use Thunderbolt, and we get the Paralysis, and it only takes 2 more Thunderbolts, and it goes down, and we win the run. And there we go. The Hoenn region, but almost everything is random. That was a blast, and I'm so glad to have just a simple randomizer. It was a lot of fun. But next week, I think we're going to change things up a bit. Be sure to watch as we ask the question, can I beat Pal World? A challenge that not only do I have no idea what the end goal is, but we'll also be playing it live on Twitch. So if you're watching on the day this is uploaded, we'll actually be playing it on stream later tonight, and we'll be recording the challenge run as we play. So next week's video will look a tad different. I hope you guys enjoy, but from what I've seen from the game, it's going to be a wild time. If you guys enjoyed the video or had fun, go ahead and leave a like and subscribe if you're new. I do try to get these out as regularly as I can, and they do take a fair bit of time. Let me know down below if you have any comments or suggestions for some challenge ideas. I would definitely love to get some input from you guys. Okay, outro time. So again, like last week, we're playing the game of I'm cutting it incredibly close. But that's fine. I don't always do this. It's just been a rough few weeks. But I do appreciate all of you guys. I want you guys to know I do take the time to read all the comments, all the nice things you guys say. It's great. I want to say that reading the comments is like one of the most fun things I do. And I also take them all with like a grain of salt. The comments that are like, hey, why do you do that with your voice? Or like, why do you sound like that? I don't let it bother me. I just am like, yeah, it's just what I do. But overall, I think it's a lot of fun, and reading you guys' comments is one of my favorite things to do when I make these videos. It helps me get through the week, just seeing what you guys think, and also seeing how many of you guys think I'm underrated, which is really nice to hear. If you can, come swing by the stream where we'll be playing Pal World. I've heard a whole lot about it, and I think it would just be a fun thing to make a challenge run out of. But who knows how well that'll go. I think you guys will just have to watch and see how that goes. For now, that's everything from me. So if you've made it this far into the video, go ahead and leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and if you've made it this far, go ahead and let me know down in the comments. Just say something like the word banana. That'll let me know that you got here. I don't quite get to see the analytics to see who makes it through to the end of these outros, but let me know if you do. I would definitely love to hear it.